Welcome back, YouTube family, for my first DIY fail video. I started this out with the Crafter Square wood planks, and then I wanted to apply hinges, so I picked these hinges up at the Ace Hardware, but the screws were too long for me to use a single board, so I thought I would glue them together, and I would, if need be, cut off the ends if they went through the board because I was planning on covering it up. That was my first mistake. Once I have all of the boards glued together, I clamp them down, and then you can see I have them stood up with the last video's craft paint containers. Then for the sides, I'm taking one of the Dollar Tree wood planks and cutting it in half and then gluing that together. So for the construction of this box, it's the same width or thickness of the planks. I will start off by stating I came up with this idea because not everybody can find the Dollar Tree crates, and I always have my tea sitting out on my coffee bar in case somebody wants tea. It sits right there. I have something for fall, I have something for Christmas, but I don't have something for throughout the year, so like in the spring and summer. So I thought, well, I will create a tea holder, I guess you could say. So once gluing the two pieces together and that was dry, I sanded all of the edges that were cut down, and then I glued them together to make a box. As you can see, I'm using my Irwin Quick Grip clamps. I love these things and I use these in a lot of my smaller projects. So once I get that clamp down, I set it off to the side. Well, once I get both ends glued in and clamped down, I set that off to the side to dry. Then I take these square wood planks you can also purchase at a Dollar Tree, and the longer, skinnier wood planks, and I measure it to fit for a lid. I measure the inside piece, the longer, skinnier plank, because I want it so that if you pick the box up, the lid doesn't slide off. So it's just kind of like a stopper that's sitting in the underside of the lid. Then I take the square planks and I decide I want to seam them in the middle because I thought it would be easier to disguise it and easier to cover it up when we get into decorating this tea box holder later. So to get center, I just take my square, the words just don't want to come to me right now, and I find the center measurement of my box. Then I line the inside seam, so the seam that's going to run down the middle of the box, and then I mark it out on the ends of the box where I need to cut off so that I can keep that seam in the middle. Once I have that marked, I take the straight edge of my square and I just trace a straight line from one end to the other on both pieces so I know where to cut. Here's where I went wrong again. So this was supposed to be the lid part of my box, and I ended up making it the bottom because of how I cut the bottom two planks. So I just roll with it and I glue that down and make that the bottom. And then once they're both glued down, I just set two of my water bottles that I keep down in the basement because I don't have a sink with running water down here. I just set those on top to weigh it down so that it dries even. So then I go for round two on the lid. I take two more of those square planks from the Dollar Tree and I lay those down and I line up the box with where those two square pieces seam together so that I know where to cut on those two square pieces, and I find that by taking the width of another square piece and tracing around it. Hopefully you saw it and I'm not confusing you. Now I'm going to glue the seam of the lid together, and then I will put some glue on the stopper piece is what I will call it, and I'm going to glue it just slightly off center. And then I'm going back in with my clamps and clamping it till it dries. So as you can tell, this is why I'm calling this my DIY fail craft. I tried really hard to create what I had in my head. In the end, it just was like all the little mistakes just kept happening. So right now I'm just taking a bead of glue down the other side of the seam just to kind of give that a little bit more security and stability, since this is going to be the lid and it will be lifted on and off. Then I go in with some Waverly chalk paint in the color Cashew. This is a really thick chalk paint and I kind of wanted it thick to hide some of the imperfections and seams and add to the rustic look that I was hoping to give to this tea container. Once everything is painted and the paint is dry, I go in with some Mod Podge. If you don't have Mod Podge, you can make homemade Mod Podge by mixing white school glue and some water. Then you're going to need some scrapbooking paper. I pulled my piece out of this Wild Field packet that I purchased from either Joann's or Michael's, but you can even purchase these at Walmart as well. And then I cut to fit the ends of the tea box. So originally, I was going to wrap the entire bottom in this paper. Well, this is a double-sided paper, and anybody who uses scrapbooking paper knows that the double-sided paper is very thick. So it wasn't really sitting down on the box quite the way I had anticipated, but I give it a try here. I cut out the little corners and then I set that down to dry. After deciding that was going to be a fail, I got a little inspiration from Brandy over at the DIY Struggle. If you haven't seen her channel, go check it out and let her know I sent you. But she does a lot of decoupaging and she tears more than she cuts because it's easier to blend out the lines when you tear. Thank you, Brandy. And I decided that I was just going to tear my edges and put the paper down as the centerpiece. And to do that, I just load the back of my paper up with the Mod Podge and then put a thin coat on my wood, and then I smoosh it around until I get it where I want. And then I take my Cricut scraper and I scrape it out all the excess Mod Podge that's underneath. I really like that, so I just decided for the ends of my tea container box, I was just going to rip the squares I had glued down around the edge, and then I went over it with a sandpaper and it really gave it a rustic look. I was surprised it actually went right, because this entire project has been one curveball after the other, and in fact, something that should have taken me 2 days to do took me an entire week to do it. Now here comes the next fail. You remember those hinges I showed you in the beginning? And the reason why I glued the two pallet pieces together? Well, I figured with gluing those together, that would work down there, but I did not take into consideration for the lid. So I thought, well, I will put the screws in for the bottom, and I will use this super glue adhesive tape, which is really good tape. We use it throughout our house to adhere the hinges to the lid. And then I was going to go ahead and put the bottom screws in. Well, when I started screwing the bottom screws in, they started coming out of the back of the box. And originally my plan was, if they did this, I was going to cut the ends off and then cover it with how I decorated it. But that didn't work because I already put the paper on and decorated the box. So in the end, I just decided to forego the hinges and take them off. I'm letting this play through so that you guys can see the mess I had myself in and hopefully get a good laugh out of it. Once the hinge fiasco is done, I go in with these stickers that I picked up at the Dollar Tree, and I was going to use those hinge stickers that you see to your right, they're on my left, but I ended up rolling with just these tea and coffee sticker pack that I picked up, and I did buy 2. I usually buy 2 of the stickers because you never know, and I did need both packs because I ended up pulling just a couple stickers out of the other one. And then I put the stickers on so that anybody who sees it would know that there's tea inside. The nice thing about these stickers is that with putting the Mod Podge over top of the paper, when I decide I want to move one of the stickers, it doesn't tear up my paper. Then with this edging that is on the outside of the sticker packet, I go in cutting pieces of it out and using it as kind of like a broken frame on my tea container box. And I really kind of liked how that turned out. I kind of felt that it was really nice and rustic. Alright you guys, if you made it this far in the video, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Also, if you're new here and you like what you see, the good, the bad, and the ugly, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Click on that subscribe button, and when the bell appears, you can choose to be notified every time I upload a video. Alright you guys, this is the end of my video. I hope you liked my DIY fail, and hopefully next week we have a DIY success. So, we'll see you back here next week.